go. So as we bring ours to the table, uh, we know how we normally introduce the show, so we won't go back over that. So my apologies. We are now up and running. So Dr. Sieta Achampong, Tesha Bouler, and we have Ms. Monica McMillan. We also are joined by Dr. Ndukwu of Penn State Health, as well as Ms. Angela Wiley. So, of course, I thank all of you guests for being here and sharing in this most important topic. As I stated, this is our last show, and so we wanted to make sure we wrapped up Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October, as we continue to move forward with celebrating our SHEros and our survivors, while also offering inspiration to those who may be, at the forefront of this. I'd like to first start off with resources, as we do. So I'll ask Dr. Ndukwu if he could start off first with what's going on down at Penn State Harrisburg, and he'll have a discussion quickly around an event they have coming up. That'll be their 12th annual event, a summit around education awareness, cancer awareness, as well as resources that are out there, the importance of screening, et cetera, coming out of COVID, and just other topics that he's addressing from the medical side inside of the profession. Dr. Ndukwu.
Thank you, Karl, and thank you for having me again. And I just want to take the time to express, how important it is to be aware of cancer and be educated on the topic, particularly how to be screened and how to be appropriately screened. So the Penn State Health System, the Cancer Institute, they're hosting an educational summit. We've done so for the last 11 years. This year will be our 12th annual Cancer Education Summit event. It's meant to be an educational event for the community to come, ask questions, and learn about cancer screening, learning about the importance of it, learning about the disease process. And unfortunately, COVID has resulted in many people missing appointments, missing their cancer screenings, and this has resulted in later diagnosis, misdiagnosis, and sometimes, in only being able to intervene later in the disease process, and sometimes so late that it's not, and it wouldn't have been helpful when we could have avoided this if we were able to catch it early. So it's really important to follow with your primary care doctors. It's really important to get cancer screened. That way you can help prevent cancer or fight it off early if you do have cancer. And our education summit is happening in 2 weeks. Actually, no, next week. I'm sorry, next week, November 6th, Saturday, November 6th. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The virtual event is a Zoom event. We'll post the link, but it's a virtual event. Anyone is welcome to join. Anyone is welcome to ask questions and be a part of it. And I plan on being a speaker for 1 hour of the series. We have people coming from we have a speaker coming from Harrisburg, and we have a speaker from the American Cancer Society as well. So there are plenty of opportunities to be educated in those 3-hour time period, and we would really love to have you. And then we'll post a link later for everyone to have and see.
Okay, and that is a fine way to kick off, talking about the importance of screening, et cetera. So we can honestly go in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Dr. Achampong. Of course, thank you for joining us. If you'd like to just open up with an introduction of who you are, what you do, and basically why this topic is near and dear to you.
Well, thank you, Karl. And thank you also, Doctor. I didn't know about the summit. So that's something I've been here, Harrisburg, all my life, right? I had no clue that you all did this for going on your 12th year. So as Karl said, I'm Dr. Sieta Achampong. I have the pleasure of serving as the principal of the Harrisburg High School SciTech campus here in Harrisburg, the Blue Ribbon School. I like to say that part. But this is near and dear to my heart because of August of 2019, I was diagnosed with stage 3 invasive lobular carcinoma. Had no idea how it just sprung up on me, but it was here already. And one of the things that is very true, like going to your screenings and making sure that you do self exams is so important because I was not really doing that. Ladies, they changed the requirements for when we needed to get our female check. And so when they did that, from doing it every year to every 2-3 years, I took the 2-3 year option. And therefore, if I would have probably went a little sooner, I probably would have caught the lump a little earlier. But it's very near and dear because I do not have anyone that I know of in my family who had cancer at all, breast cancer. And so I was not looking for it, if that makes sense. I'm thinking, okay, heart disease, that's in my family, some other diseases in my family. But I was not even thinking about breast cancer at all. So when I found the lump myself, even when I made the appointment to get it checked up, I was more worried about thinking I had sinus infection and I didn't want to miss school than I was about the lump. So the doctor had to get really she had to get real with me, and she had to say, this is really serious, and you need to take this seriously. And I'm glad I did. I did push off the biopsy at one point in time, and I said, you know what, let me go. So um, I'm glad that I, was able to detect it on my own, and then I took it seriously because the nurse and the doctors told me that I saved my own life. So listen, ladies and gentlemen as well, it's so important that you check yourselves because you know your body. The doctors don't always know, but you know your body. And so you need to really check. And if something just seems a tad bit off, go get it checked out because it's so important. The doctors always say, oh, well, mate, don't have to worry about this. You might have to worry, but you should worry about it and be very persistent with it. I was a little timid and like, oh, I don't want to come off as the angry black woman, with the doctors, but I wish I would have been a little bit more firmer with more firm with some of the doctors. And now I am. I speak up and I tell them this is what's happening, what's going on. These are the things that I want done. And I took all the precautions. I had a bilateral mastectomy, followed up with a true hysterectomy because I had the defective gene, BRCA2 gene. And then follow up with a boatload of other surgeries and things of that nature. So that's kind of why it's really near and dear to me, Karl, and also to everyone that's on. Just whatever you do, just don't take this breast cancer thing lightly or cancer thing lightly. You may not have it in your family, that's okay, but it can still be you because it really hit me hard and it hit my family hard. And I just praise God that He allowed me to be able to find that lump when I did.
And we're thankful for that. Ms. Bowler.
Good evening, everyone. Karl, thank you so much for having me on. As I was listening to Dr. Champong's story, it's funny that it's so similar to mine. I was diagnosed with stage 2B invasive ductal carcinoma on February 27th, 2014. I was 36 at the time when I was diagnosed. I had no history of breast cancer in my family. I was the first one in my immediate family, and I too found my lump. And I was actually working out one afternoon um, and I was doing Zumba, and I found a lump, and immediately I called my mom because I knew something wasn't right. Before I even do that, I am a kindergarten teacher. Let me go back. I'm a kindergarten teacher at the Barack Obama Elementary School, the first one to be named after President Obama in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, Prince George's County Public Schools. So, getting back to my breast cancer journey, found the lump, called my mother, and she told me to go and get checked out. I immediately did, and with a series of examinations from my primary doctor, going to get a mammogram at the age of 36, because at that time, mammograms were not required for women at that age. But my primary doctor felt that it was necessary, and I'm so glad that he did, because following the mammogram, I had to have a biopsy, and February 27th, 2014 was when I got the news that I had breast cancer. My journey began, my treatment began very quickly because after a series of tests after my diagnosis, also with the genetic test in the BRCA2, which fortunately, I tested negative for that gene, but my cancer had spread into my lymph nodes. So treatment had to start right away. My treatment consisted of chemotherapy, radiation, and a lumpectomy. I started my treatment in April of 2014, and I started my treatment in April 2014. I finished my treatment one day before my birthday on November 29th, 2014. So just like Dr. Champong said, please, I can't stress enough how important it is for you to be an advocate for yourself. If you fix, you know your bodies better than anyone else. And if you feel something different, if you notice something different, and you notice that there's some type of change, the slightest change, don't wait. Go get checked out because you never know what it is, and you don't want to self-medicate or not get checked out at all and wait until it gets to a point where it becomes very serious, and the outcome could have been avoided if you would have gone a lot sooner. So this is why it is near and dear to my heart. I am now a thank God I am a 7-year survivor. August 20th of this year, I became a 7-year survivor, and counting because I am claiming that. And this is why this topic is very near and dear to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss McMillan.
Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you, Karl, for allowing for me to come on to share my testimony. Again, my name is Monica McMillan. I live in Lawrenceville, Virginia. I am a WIOA Youth Coordinator. WIOA stands for Workforce Innovations Opportunity Act. I work with the workforce program. I work with out-of-school youth between the ages of 16 to 24 that has various barriers. In regards to my story, I was diagnosed in December of 2017. Like the other young ladies, I found my lump myself. I came home after work one day and was in the shower, and I usually give myself breast exams, and I found something unusual. So I'm a single parent as well, and I had a son in college, and my youngest son was at home. And I remember being in the shower when I found it, and I screamed. And I remember my son running to the bathroom door, knocking on the door, saying, "Mommy, what's wrong? Is everything okay?" And of course, I had to go back in mommy mode, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, everything's fine. I just seen something." And I immediately the next morning I followed up with my doctor, my nurse practitioner and gynecologist. She brought me right in and she checked it and she sent me for she sent me for my mammogram and she sent me for my first opinion. And they gave me the news. I decided to go for a second opinion. So, what I do want to tell to everyone who's listening, just know that you are entitled to a second opinion. You don't have to go with the first opinion that your doctor spoke with you, the first doctor's information. You are entitled to a second opinion. So, know with your insurances, you can get a second opinion if you're not comfortable with the first opinion. And the reason why I state that is because when I went for my first opinion at one cancer center, they found one spot in my left breast. But when I went to my second opinion at Duke Cancer Center, they went a little bit further and they found another little spot behind the lump in my left breast. And then they found something smaller in my lymph nodes as well. So I was happy that I did go with my second opinion because, they caught something that the first cancer center didn't catch. So I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. Mine was a little bit it was a little bit different because with the 3 different spots, as you have the doctors on here, which he probably can better explain it later. But I had 3 different strands. It wasn't just one strand. I had a HER2 strand. I was also ER positive. I was also PR positive. So when the doctors had told me, they was like, "This is, unusual." I was like, "Well, God made me like that. I'm special." So he had to throw a mix into it. And when I went to all of the appointments, of course, I had a great support system. My parents, or my mother and my sisters, they were the ones who always had questions for the doctor. The only question I had for the doctor was, "Do you have faith in God? Do you trust God? Do you have a relationship with God?" That's the only question I had. And every doctor or every medical oncologist I spoke to, every radiation oncologist I spoke to, every radiologist, every nurse I spoke to had some type of relationship with the Lord. And that's what I needed in my journey. So once we got that down, another thing that blessed my soul was that when I read my chart, how they have your charts where you can look at them online. It's called My Chart, where I'm from down here. And I seen that the doctor wrote in my notes, my patient said, God is going to heal her. I said, okay, I got the right medical oncologist on my team because I read that actually in my notes. I've never seen that before. But going back to my journey, I started my treatments February of 2018. I call that the harsh treatments I started off with. And after I started February 6, 2018, and then I completed the harsh treatments on May the 22nd of 2018. Then from that point, I had to get during the process, they have you go through different testing. As first, what the doctor was speaking about at the beginning, she stated something about the brick 1. She had the brick 2. I had to do the genetic testing for that, but mine's came back negative. So the doctors just recommended I needed to get a lumpectomy instead of a mastectomy. So I did get my lumpectomy on June 19th of 2018. Since I had the HER2 strand I had mentioned, the HER2 you have to treat for a whole year. It's different. So I finished the HER2 treatment of the chemo on January I think the 19th of 2019. I still and before that part, and I apologize if I'm going too fast, I also had to do radiation. I did radiations for 6 weeks and maybe 2 days straight. Where I was going to for my treatments, I had to drive almost 2 hours just to go for the treatments. So every day for radiation, I'm driving 2 hours to get my treatment, and then I'm coming back to work and I'm doing it all over again. And I did that probably the last few weeks, the last 4 weeks of my radiation before I had went back to work because I had went out on a short-term disability during the process. Now I still continue since January of 19. I still continue my chemo injections because of the type of strands that I had. I do a preventative measure. I haven't done the hysterectomy as the doctor was stating that she has had done. The reason why I haven't done the hysterectomy as of yet is because of the pandemic and the timing, and the injection is working for me right now. So I will continue the injection for the chemo until I decide to go ahead and have the hysterectomy done. The only way I got through this process was because of my faith in the Lord, was because I had a great support system. And as I went through, I only wanted people around me that was positive. I prayed my way through it, I praised my way through it, and I pressed my way through it. That was the only reason I got through it. I'm talking about in regards to my family history. The word cancer is not new to me. I've had various family members who have had different type of challenge, different type of cancers that they dealt with. But I did have an aunt who passed away at the age of 33. She had breast cancer, but that was on my father's side. The doctors, they more look at it on your mother's side. But I did have a aunt who did have breast cancer. She was 33 years old. But during this process, I just want to tell, like the other young ladies was stating, I want to tell the woman, make sure you pay attention to your body. A lot of times we women, we put ourselves on the back burner because we are the nurturers. We are always running. We think we're superwoman with the S on our chests, and we just put ourselves to the side. I want to encourage women to pay attention to your body. When you do know that there's something wrong, go get checked out. Don't wait until it's too late. I was blessed that I found mine, and I was blessed that I went to get the proper attention, and I was blessed that I had a great team that also believed in a higher power more than medicine. So that is my message to you ladies. Make sure you pay attention to your body. Make sure you know that you can get a second opinion. And another reason why I want to state about a second opinion, I had another young lady that was going through the process, because as you go through, you tend to want to help others that are going through. You want to advocate, you want to give opinions and tell them, so they'll know once they're going through it that, okay, it's fine. It happened to me too. So if I got through it, you can get through it. It's a part of the process. But I had a young lady to reach out to me, and she was concerned, and she had went through the process already, and she had just had a surgery. And she ended up contacting me back probably like 2 or 3 months later and saying the doctor stated she had to start chemo again because of the tissue, how when the tissue heals from her surgery. And she said, so I have to start my chemo again next week. And I'm like, okay, well, didn't your doctor just clear you? I told her that she needed to go get a second opinion again. And when she got a second opinion, it was just scarred tissue. It wasn't a tumor. So her doctor was about to send her right back into chemo, thinking it was cancer, and it was not. So if I don't say anything else, I just suggest to the woman, make sure you advocate for yourself. Make sure you get a second opinion, because sometimes the doctors are not always right. Yes, we do want to trust that God gave them a talent that they should know, who, in that field, what they should do. But just be mindful and always look into that as well. Thank you.
That is a perfect segue, especially talking about second opinions and being persistent. So they set the table for you, Miss Angelo.
Good evening. Thank you all for allowing me to join today with these beautiful women, beautiful ladies, and survivors. My story is a little bit different. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Angela Wiley. I'm a project manager with Members First Federal Credit Union in the IT field. So my story as a survivor is very much different from the other ladies in that they found theirs by breast self-exam. I did not. My story is that I was having issues with my right breast. It was just like nagging. It was sort of paining and itching and just all kinds of issues. I went to the doctor for my annual mammogram, an annual exam. Everything came back normal. Had ultrasound, had the mammogram, came back normal. No lumps, no problems on both breasts. My doctor said, come back in a year for your annual exam. You're good. You're clear. So I'm like, all right. But it kept bothering me. The right breast just nagged like a bad toothache. And at the time, I was doing a lot of traveling for my job back and forth to Pittsburgh. So I suppose that my husband got tired of me whining about my right breast bothering me so bad. And the doctor said that, because my mammogram and ultrasound were normal, that it would be a little bit of a challenge to get the insurance company to authorize what's it the not the mammogram but the I'm drawing MRI. Yes, thank you. The MRI to get the insurance to authorize it because of the other two coming back normal. Unbeknownst to me, my husband decides to contact the insurance company. He lobbies for them to authorize it. He calls me while I'm in Pittsburgh and he's like, I scheduled you for an MRI on this day, on this time. Be there. It's like, okay, no problem. Thinking they said everything was fine. Have the appointment. They call me back and they call me right away. And they were like, your right breast is fine, but we see something suspicious on the left. And I'm like, you're looking at the wrong film because the left breast is fine. I have no problems with it. And they're like, no, we need you to have a biopsy. And they called me back on August 23rd, 2013. I was diagnosed with stage 1 invasive ductal carcinoma. And they told me that it had already started spreading and that had I waited for my 1-year follow-up, it would have been at stage 4. So my husband actually was instrumental in saving my life. Again, didn't have any problems with the left breast at all. I went through 12 surgeries in a 2-year period. I had a bilateral mastectomy on my birthday with a gazillion other, like I said, other surgeries in between for that 2-year period. I did not have radiation. I did not have chemo. I was ER/PR positive and HER2 negative. And I know those in the medical field know what that all means, but essentially my estrogen and hormones were what was feeding my cancer. So with that being said, I've continued to just try to watch my diet, take better care of my health. But I would say definitely be an advocate, just as the other women have said, be an advocate for your own health. You just never know. And ironically, I had one of my dear friends who was diagnosed that same year. She was diagnosed in May. I was diagnosed in August, and we literally walked hand in hand through. She was BRCA positive. She had a stage 3. She got through it as I got through it. We walked that journey for 2 years together. I'd have my surgery. She'd have her surgery. We'd check in on each other. And unfortunately, hers came back after 3 years. Hers came back. And she was afraid to tell me that it came back because we literally walked this journey together. But when she wasn't responding to my texts or anything. She finally responded to me around, I want to say September. And she was like, girl, I'm holding it down. I didn't want to tell you, but it came back. I've been going through treatment. I've been in the hospital, back and forth, back and forth. And unfortunately, she lost her battle a few months later. So it's very near and dear to my heart because I keep her very close to my heart in that we did walk that journey together, and reoccurrence is possible. We know that as survivors. And so always just be proactive. And like the other said, know your body and talk to your doctors, get second opinions. But definitely I had a huge support group. My mother, my family were amazing. And so for my birthday, because I had the mastectomy on my birthday, I asked, people were like, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for your birthday? And I said, you know what? Just send me a picture of you in pink that day. And so when I woke up out of that surgery, I mean, my phone was flooded. I don't know, people were like forwarding my messages to other people saying, send her a picture in pink. And my husband actually put a whole collage together of everybody's picture. And I still have that picture hung up because I'll never forget all of the support that I had and continue to have as I go through my journey with my health. So thank you for having me.
Wow. Inspirational. You wonder why you're here. What we'll do now is we'll take a commercial break just to gather our thoughts, level set. And on the other side of this, we'll continue the conversation in terms of we'll bring Dr. Ndukwu back on and let him give a response in terms of what he's heard. You ladies really remind me of something my mother always said. Go to doctor's appointments, and she would come out and tell me what she told the doctor. And I was like, Mom, you went to the doctor and you telling me what you told them. She's like, well, I've been living in this body longer than they've been treating this body. Nobody know this body like I know this body. And so you are echoing. I'm sure she's probably watching. But I mean, to thy own self be true. And, having that faith that you speak upon, I'm sure has kept you, upright and pressing forward. So thank you for joining us. We'll take a commercial break and we'll continue our conversation here at the seat at the table. And welcome back as we continue our conversation. Dr. Ndukwu, I wanted you to jump in for a second, just to just give some feedback on what you've heard thus far.
Oh, absolutely. And I apologize. I think my internet is being glitchy, but as long as the audio comes through, I think we're okay.
All right.
So, but some of the common themes I'm hearing that are being threaded through these lovely women are the concepts of 1, know your body, 2, get checked, and 3, be an advocate. And that's advocate for yourself, advocate for others, advocate for family members, and using your support system. And they're all right. They're all absolutely right. No one knows your body like you do. If something's wrong, you need to let a doctor know, hey, I respect your opinion or I don't respect your opinion. Either way, something is wrong. I need you to listen to me. And the more you're willing to advocate for yourself, the more other people are willing to advocate for you, the more you'll get those doctors to listen. And if that means getting a second opinion from a different physician, a different oncologist, you go and get that opinion. You go and get that advice. You look around and shop around. And and part of the reason why I say that is that unfortunately, in terms of all cancers, Black people die more than any other ethnic group. And part of it there are multiple factors of it, but part of it is the lack of adequate care. Now, some of that's just because of lack of understanding. Some of it is that because of people don't advocate for themselves. But the facts are still the facts. And unfortunately, Black people die from cancer more than any other ethnic group. So it's really important. And then having a strong support system, whether that's in faith, whether that's in family, whether that's in friends. It's going to be a trial. There's going to be trials. There's going to be tribulations, and you need people to travel that journey with you. They take those steps with you. So I completely agree. All these things are so very important. And I can't say it better than how it's already been said. And some of that's just checking and knowing your own body. and maybe using the advice from doctors to help you in guiding that therapy. When should you get checked? Should you get screened? I have family, do you have family members who've had cancer? Because unfortunately, having family members, particularly immediate family members, put you at a much higher risk of having cancer than others who don't have cancer in their family. So knowing your family history, advocating for yourself, knowing your body, and willing to stand up for your body and find a support group, all spot on, all accurate, all very, very valuable.
I mean, I just want to know if you had anything to add. I know they were the subject matter experts, even though you got doctor, your name. But, where we are now, I mean, there was a lot of information divulged, in the first segment. Is there anything you ladies like to drill down on? Because I know, I mean, like when you're giving these numbers and talking about various treatments, I have questions myself, and I'm sure the viewing audience is thinking like, well, what determines what treatment you get? And, what does that mean? And what does this mean? And I mean, so if there's any more of a deeper dive that you could do for our edification, that would be greatly appreciated. I don't even know the question which to ask, so I don't want to butcher the diagnosis that you were announcing that you had and that you are defeating and have defeated. So if anybody would like to jump in, please expound upon what you've already delivered thus far in the conversation.
Karl, I'm glad you said that because I was one of those people, I didn't really know a lot about breast cancer. Honestly, I thought breast cancer was the same. Everybody has, if you get breast cancer, you can have chemo or radiation, you lose your hair, and that's the end of it. And then you cure it, right? So I had no clue that there are I think, and I could be wrong, I want to give the wrong figure. And Patricia, you would know, all of you may know, I think there's like 26 or something like that crazy number of different types of breast cancers. And so it all depends on what type of breast cancer you have, because I just knew I was going to have chemo and I didn't want my hair to fall out. And so, and I just kept saying that to my oncologist, well, I don't need chemo, as Miss Monica said, because the type of cancer that I have feeds off the hormones. And so, I just have to have hormone-based chemo, for lack of better terms. So I had the shots as well. And then now I'm on a pill. They call it a chemo pill, but it's a hormone chemo kind of like pill that I do have to take for the next 5 years, so that I can kind of keep it from coming back sooner, as the doctors tell me. Because unfortunately, nothing's too hard for God, and I'm not claiming it. But unfortunately, the statistics, there is a probability it may come back. But I'm glad you asked that, Karl, because I think I was very ignorant to the fact that there are all these different types of breast cancers and different types of treatments. So the best thing is to really talk with your doctor and drill down and keep asking questions just to make sure that you are receiving the right treatments. My oncologist just said to me on Wednesday, she said, I want you to ask me questions. Every time you come see me, I want you to ask me, what else can I do? What else can I do for you? And I thought that was awesome because she wants me to keep asking her because I want to be around for a while. I want to
Yeah.
see my kids. And so, yeah, that's that.
Well, your doctor must not know you that well if she thinks she had to give you permission to ask questions about. But I'm sure she's learning. She
is there. But
learning you.
Karl,
Sure.
I was shy at first. I don't know why. I felt kind of. I don't know. I felt inadequate in that moment. I know everyone is different, and I think Miss Monica was saying it as well. Like I was too busy trying to make sure everyone else was okay. So we would go to the doctor's appointments, and I was like, literally, I think I was like in another world.
Right.
We're gonna be okay. Like we're okay. Like I just kept saying that we're okay. We're gonna be okay. Like I was like I don't know where I was, but too busy trying to make sure everyone else was taken care of that I failed to ask important questions.
I want to share something a little bit different about my journey because I was diagnosed in August, and I don't know if the other ladies experienced this, but when I had a mastectomy was in September, and then of course October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and everything's pink. And that first year, I really struggled with that. Like I had a hard time processing the whole pink thing because I was like, this is not fun. And people were, pink boas and all this stuff like as if it was cool or fun. And as I mentioned, my friend who was in the journey with me, she said you got to look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from the sense that it's their way of being supportive, right? Because I wrestled with that. I don't know if any of the other ladies wrestled with that. Like it was like this I didn't see it as a badge of honor or,
It was
oh,
almost like it was being glorified.
yeah, like it was like yes, glorified.
And
Like it took
and
away from the
I tell
struggle.
everybody, and I tell anybody, this is not a club that you want to be a part of.
No.
This
Right.
is, I mean, thank
Yeah,
God that we're here, and it's a sisterhood like no other. But
Right.
we didn't get here. We didn't join this sisterhood by choice.
yes. That
And
was hard.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And I think, Angela, the hard part for me now is hearing the word cancer. Every time I turn on the TV, it's always something. I automatically change the channel. I just don't want to hear it. I don't know if it's just something with me. I just don't like to hear the word too much anymore. I'd be like, breast C. So that's the hard part for me. And some things that we didn't talk about, well, like um, Doctor, I apologize,
Just say
Sieta.
Saida.
Saida, Saida, you were talking about the medicine. Of course, I have to take the medicine as well for the next 5 years. Also, some things that we didn't talk about is about the other challenges that come with going through chemo. Like I deal with lymphedema. Some days it don't feel good. I deal with chemo brain. Lord have mercy, help me
still,
with the chemo brain.
still.
The chemo brain part is the biggest part for me. So when I went through it, Karl,
So what is that? Let me interject there. What is that? We like those of us who don't know.
it's
You
like
said the
cloudy
chemo.
thoughts. You can't
Okay.
get everything out.
Yeah, you
You
can't
know
get
what you want to say, but it's at the tip of your tongue and you just can't get it out.
Wow.
It makes you feel like I don't know. It makes me feel what word? I don't want to use the word dumb down, but that's how it makes me feel
But
sometimes.
that's the
Um,
word.
and that's the hardest part. So it wasn't hard when I went through. The chemo wasn't hard, I don't believe. I mean, the radiation, even though it was hard, the hardest part is now. The hardest part is the chemo brain. The hardest part is like, Angela was stating and Saida was stating, the possibility of the reoccurrence. Even though we still trust God and we're raising small children, but that's the hardest part now. They
Yeah.
don't tell you when you go into the doctor's office that it's going to be hard afterwards. They
Yeah.
make you think it's going to be hard as you go through. The hardest part is now.
Yeah. Because you're always on the radar,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Any little, I sneeze wrong, my doctor's going, let me take you to, right? And so like
Right.
I literally am because of how my story was, I'm so hypersensitive when someone tells me it's normal. Like I'm like,
Yes.
I don't take normal the first round. Like y'all gonna have to dig a little deeper before I will be convinced of normal being normal
Yes.
because of that, and my doctors, thank God they understand, because you put yourself in our shoes, right? That's like you said, now the years after the treatment are the hardest years because your doctors look at you so closely, which is a
Yes.
blessing, but also it's like, oh Lord,
Yes.
what are they gonna say? What are they going,
And
Every year
Angela,
when it's time
oh,
for I'm sorry.
no, you
Every year when it's time for my to get my mammogram, I take the entire day off because I'm on edge because I
Mhm.
don't know what the results are going to be. And when I'm in that waiting room and I got this gown on, I'm on my knees and I'm praying, Lord, one more year, give me one more year. And I take the whole day because I don't know what the outcome is going to be, and I know if the outcome is not going to be the greatest, I'm not going to be in that mindset to go back to work. So I always take the entire day off just to woosah. But
right.
another thing too that we haven't touched on that it was and it's still a struggle for me is survivor's guilt.
Mhm.
We have so many people, so many women that have succumbed to this beast. And I've had a cousin, may she rest in peace, that actually passed away a few years ago. And it was like after I finished my treatments and the years after, whenever I heard someone passing away from breast cancer, I am bawling. And I'm on the phone with my family. It's like, why did God it was like, how come I survived it and they did it? And I struggled with that for a long time and still do. And I'm work in progress, but that's something that I struggled with for a long time.
Mhm.
And I have to get in the, and I'm trying to get in the mindset, and my family and friends keep reminding me that God still has a plan for me. I still have work to do. The ones that lost their lives, their journeys, their purpose has been met. They did what they needed, what God wanted them to do on this earth. You still got work to do, and I have to keep telling myself when I hear of people dying from when I hear people dying from breast cancer, and just like you, Miss Monica, going through the chemo. Thank God, I didn't have any issues. The devastating part of that was when I lost my hair. Um, this when it first started coming out, because I'm from South Carolina. If you haven't heard the accent in my voice, so my immediate family's in South Carolina. The moment that a patch of hair started coming out, I called my mom. I got on the next flight out. I used to live in Harrisburg, and my favorite aunt and uncle are there. So we went to my uncle's house, and uncle's house, and I said, "Shave it off." I did not want to see anything else coming out of my head. I could not bear to see that. That was the most devastating part. But again, survivor's guilt. I struggle with that.
And
Tisha, I'm
Batisha,
glad you said that. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. No,
No, go
it's
ahead.
okay. You did. I was just going to say, Batisha, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to go back to Angela. That's the other hardest part. As you go through the journey, you're meeting so many people that are going through, and you build bonds. This is a sisterhood, and you build bonds with others. And when you lose them, it's
It hurts.
something. It
It
hurts really
hurts.
bad.
It
Like
hurts.
you might see me getting emotional now.
Mhm.
still can feel the pain
Mhm.
of losing people that I've met,
Yeah.
along the way, because you want everybody to win, but
Yep.
at the same time, we have to accept God's will in it.
Yep.
So, but that is the hardest part. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, and I was just going to tag on. For some reason, God had me reach out to Tasha Fry when I first found out. I didn't tell many people, and I did. And then so she was like, we were walking together, and I knew she was further along in her journey. And then so when she passed, because she literally just sent me pictures of her radiation, and she had just finished, and she was like, and I saw how damaging it was to her skin, and I was like, you're going to be okay. We're going to pray about you. You're going to be okay. And so then all of a sudden, I get this message that she passed, and I was still at work, and I literally started hyperventilating. And I was like, and this is why I love my teachers. I love them. One of my teachers, he happened to just be going past, and I said, but she passed, and he looked me in the face, and he said, it's not you. And I know that may have seemed a little harsh, but he had to center me,
Mm.
because I really
Yeah.
was like, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he told me it's not you.
It's not you. Mhm.
Yep.
And then I guess the other hardest part with that is knowing when you have young children that you still want to see, make it. Like I have two sons. My oldest, he is doing very well. And I have my youngest son who's doing very well too. But I just ask God, like, if I don't ask you for anything else, you've done enough. But if you could just, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only mama out there begging the Lord to see our children to grow up, and I don't want him to, just make an exception and not nobody else. But you beg the Lord, can you just allow me to stay to see my son turn 18? Because nobody's going to take care of your babies like your mother is. When you
Exactly.
leave, nobody else is going to give that love. So I said, God, please, if you don't do anything else, just let me stay here till my son turns 18. And then I know he'll be fine, because I do everything I need to do to turn him into the young king or man he needs to be. So that's my plea to God, and I'm pretty sure that's all of our pleas.
Well, I'm on the opposite end. I don't have children. And I asked God when I got the diagnosis, God, I want to become a mother. I want to I want to become a wife one day. That has always been my greatest desire. And I'm like, Lord, get me through this, because I want to be a wife and mom someday. And I'm like, Lord, you didn't bring me to this. This can't be it. So I just had that determination in my mindset that I got to beat this because I want to be a mama. I want to be a wife. And still to this day, that is my prayer. And, for those that are out there that are going through that journey that are not mothers, for me, before I started chemo, I had my eggs frozen. So I did egg preservation. So that is an option for women that are newly diagnosed before you start, your treatment, if you so desire to become a mom someday. And I know a lot of physicians doctors don't have that conversation with women, but that's conversation that needs to be had more, giving women that opportunity. And even with the insurance companies, covering that so that we won't have to come out of pocket with all of this money, because breast cancer is expensive. Treatment is expensive.
Say that again. No one ever talked about the expense of breast cancer.
Amen.
I thank God for it. I thank God every day for the insurance that I have. But my heart goes out to the ones that don't have the insurance, or that don't have enough insurance, that have to make the decision whether or not to put food on the table or go get treatment. That should not be the case. It blew my mind. And I'm like, I have this insurance, and thank God, like I said, just one chemo session alone was thousands of dollars. I don't know about anybody else. I don't have thousands of dollars laying around, and I did not ask for it. I did not ask for this. And I can only imagine women that, again, that don't have the adequate health care or don't have the insurance at all. I know we have the Affordable Health Care Act. Thank God for that. It's something, but it's expensive. This thing, and even afterwards, the post treatment, it's still because it's a life change now. I'm trying to eat healthy, and we all know trying to eat healthy is expensive.
Right.
Trying to buy all these organic stuff, apricots,
Yes.
all that, it makes no sense. So
Right.
that's a struggle that we shouldn't have to. Those are things that we shouldn't have to think about when we're when we're in the fight and we're fighting for our lives. That right there should be on the forefront of our minds. Getting healthy so that we can be there for our sons, be there for our daughters, be there for our future children and our future husband, our families, instead of worrying about the expenses that all these doctor bills that's coming in.
The other thing I would say is I don't know about you guys, but that is another unspoken, is the adjustment to the new look of your body.
Oh.
So I love to laugh. I'm humorous. And that was one of the things that I was like, oh, I'm going to get something out of this. If I'm doing this mastectomy, I'm getting me some new somethings, and we going to work this thing out. Like we going to work this, like in the movies, like a movie star kind of thing. That's where I had this and be like, I'm going to get something for nothing. Right. So when I went to go find a bra, that was I was like,
yes.
We're all adults here. We can keep it real, right? Nothing worked.
No.
Nothing worked. Like I'm going into Victoria's Secret because I'm thinking I'm gonna get
don't
me
even
something.
bother anymore. I don't even bother anymore. I can't.
You cannot wear.
No, because I can't wear them anymore.
Can't wear them because they don't fit. Because it's meant for a flexible whatever. Those flexible, nimble breasts. Whereas ours is like, we're good. We're standing here at attention. Don't move, right? And so it was like, what do I do? And that was an adjustment to find a bra to wear. And not that you need one, but it's like, just to kind of cover things up, as ladies we know, right?
Right.
That was an adjustment that, and just the look of your body. It's definitely an adjustment.
It is. I'm currently on tamoxifen, and which is a steroid. And I was on it Well, I'm current still on it. I'm on it for 10 years. I got 3 more years left, but the tamoxifen made me gain weight. Nothing fits. So I seriously, I struggle with body image. And now it's like I'm having to buy a whole new wardrobe.
Amen.
I'm looking at old pictures pre-cancer, and I'm looking how skinny I am, and now I'm looking at myself now, and I'm on the phone with Aunt Viv, and I'm crying and carrying on because I'm like, wait, where did all this weight come from? And it's hard to get off. So yes, I overstand. I overstand that. Absolutely, Angela. Yes. I can't know. And then sad, and two, going to Victoria's Secret. No, we can't do any of that. We have to go to, the specialty made shops, the boutiques where it's costing us almost $100 just for one bra. And some of them we keeping it real. They're not cute.
No, go to Walmart and get a
Right.
tank top. I got a tank top, girl. This is a tank top thing. It ain't
Either the tank top, or I'll go get the cami
the cami.
and be done with it.
Just put a cami on.
Put a cami on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that with the whole new wardrobe. And also, I wanted to mention, I seen a young lady, and I apologize if I'm changing it, but I seen Miss Rhoda. She had a message about she lost one of her friends. So Miss Rhoda, just know that we're praying for you as well as you get through what you're going through.
Yes.
And we thank God for your journey that you're still. I seen you say you were 3 times too, so we're praying for you too.
Yes.
But this you were talking about before about how when I had the major chemo, so all of my hair fell out. But it really didn't matter to me when my hair fell out because I was wearing wigs anyway before that. So my mom used to fuss at me all the time, girl, why don't you wear your hair? But see, God prepared me for such a time as this, because when it was time, when I was bald headed, okay, all right, which wig I'm picking out, because I was so used to rocking wigs.
Yeah.
But I didn't decide to do a short haircut until right before my hair fell out. I wanted to see, okay, what it looked like with a short haircut. So then, once everything was over with, ladies, I know you know about the heat flashes.
Woo,
So
girl.
now if I try to put a wig on, that wig got to be thrown in a corner somewhere because it's too hot,
We are not gonna talk, girl. We ain't gonna talk about
Personal summers. Personal
I'm
summers.
trying a fan that's on my desk right now. I don't know where without a fan.
It's October, and I have the air conditioner on. That I'm freezing people out. Yes, because
when they get in my car, they be like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "It's hot."
I'm hot. That's what's wrong. I'm hot. Deal with it. But if you come with me, bring a jacket or a sweater because I'm hot.
Right.
You see, Dr. Ndukwu and I, you see how we're just on standby in case you guys need us? So just continue. I mean, there's...
Carl, you got us started now.
They don't need us. They don't need us. What are we
You
talking
got
about?
us started now. We're gonna follow our tribe, honey.
Yeah. And that's what I love about Sister Warriors. You get to talk about things that you're going through. You get to laugh about it. You have people to understand. Because sometimes, we gotta. Sometimes, like with the chemo brain and everything else, sometimes your family, they try to understand, but they don't really understand. You got to talk to people that went through the journey to understand, your mood swings too, ladies.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Your mood swings.
And that's something
as
that I
well.
had to explain that to my mom. That although I appreciate and I love the support that you've given me, but you didn't walk it. You didn't walk
That's
it
right.
like I walked it.
Come on.
And I gravitate more to my sisters that have walked the walk and that know what's going on, because again, you guys know firsthand what's going on. And going back to the chemo brain, God, when I say I struggle with that, and I was so hard on myself and still am, because I'm like, gosh, I know what I want to say. And I'm like, Tisha, you're a teacher. Come on, get it out. And I'm like, oh, my. And it got to a point where I'm bawling and I'm calling my best friends and my best friends, they're educators as well back home. Hey, Renee, hey, Tracy. hey, Mila and Wanda and Miriam and Coretta. But anyway, call all of them. I'm bawling because it's like I can't get it out what I want to say, and it's like it's okay.
It's okay.
Just calm down. But it's like, but y'all don't know. You just don't understand. It's like it's like literally right there, and it can't come out.
Yeah.
So chemo brain, like it is real.
Teacher, you know I have Sabina, so I just be like, "What?"
I didn't call her too. Play the time.
Right. I was like, what was I saying? And she's like, well, you started off by saying this. Is that where you were going? I go, I don't know if that's where I was going, but it'll come back. And then
I'm to the point that I write things that I love. I love
everything's in my phone now.
Yes.
Make a list of everything that I have to do each day, because that's what I know I got to do this today. I got to do that.
Take my calendar, right?
And then I cross it out. So because that lets me know, okay, I done got that, I done that. So I can move on to the next thing, because
Yes.
it is real.
It is,
and that's the part that they need to be taught. The doctors or the facilities need to talk about. They need to talk about that chemo brain. Like, need to talk about. I know they have different cognitive behavior things they try to do with us, but it's a struggle.
And those are the things again that they don't tell you. Like, and so like you just hear, all you see is the chemo. You see the pictures on Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and then all the next thing you see the next person, they're just like this.
Exactly.
You don't know all the rest of this stuff.
The after, and that's the interesting part. I think maybe this is a good segue for the doctor. Like, why is that where the medicine part stops? Like, where is the after? You know how that what to expect when you're expecting book with preparing. Like, where is that after what to expect when you're coming out of the breast cancer treatment? There is nothing that really pins that down, or is there?
Don't ask him that. It sounds like you guys have a book right here in this club.
You should write a book.
Cut that. Edit that piece.
Y'all should.
Edit that piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go.
Oh, you'll clean up. You'll clean up. I'll tell you that much. You'll definitely clean up. So it's a problem. It's a problem for multiple reasons, right? So chemo brain, what you're talking about, tends to happen more with those who have chemotherapy, because the chemotherapy stuff, it damages tissue, it damages nerves, and your brain is all nerve. It's all nerve endings, right? So chemotherapy actually damages those connections. That's why you have problems getting that one word out that you should get out instantly, right? It's the reason why you have to keep finding those words. Is why you're confused, right? Because those connections have quite literally been poisoned and damaged from the chemotherapy. The hormone therapy is a little bit different. You can get some side effects from it, because the hormone therapy tends to target those receptors like ER and PR that you were referring to before. ER stands for estrogen receptor. PR is progestin receptor. So you have different drug regimens. But I say that to say is that I agree, it's a problem. And from an oncologist standpoint, and again, I'm no oncologist, so I don't want to speak for oncologists, but it's that concept of, all right, so we're trying to prepare you for so many things. What do we choose to focus on? Do we focus on the treatment? Do we focus on trying to get your mind right? Do we focus on you trying to make sure you have support? And then you wonder, and then unfortunately, let's be real, right? That same oncologist has 5 more people to see in a timeline, in a time frame, and how many he's got the hospital telling me he's got to see, these many patients. There's other oncologist has their boss saying, hey, you need to go in and see these other people, or we need you to come out right now. So it ends up becoming what gets left off the menu. And oftentimes, for many patients, cancer survivors, it's the after effect, right? There isn't this conversation about post-traumatic stress, which is a very real thing after cancer. There isn't this conversation of emotional confusion or trauma, or the stress of always knowing that there's something else going on, right? The survivor's remorse, the survivor's guilt. And those conversations get left to the wayside because you feel like you've had the harder ones. It's just a human reaction. It's like, well, we got you through the hard part of the actual cancer. And again, that's a physician's mentality, not the reality. I freely admit that. So, and then these conversations get left to the wayside, and you hope that with the support, especially if you have strong support, right? Some physicians just hope that you're getting that mental support, you're getting that advice. But you're absolutely right, Angela. I don't know why we leave that component out, even as a primary care doctor, because that's what I am. And I know when I had my follow up, I'm like, I asked about the clinic, how are you doing your follow up, right? And if we hit on the topic that I feel like is really important, I'll stay there. And I mean, I get to, all right, how are you really doing, right? How are you really doing emotionally, right? How are you doing? Just talk with me, right? And there's so many pressures, there's so many different pulls from different sides. And I agree, it's a problem. I don't have an easy solution for it.
Doc,
You go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you made a very, very good point, and I tend to do that with the chemo brain too. But you made a very, very good point that mental health matters in this situation. And my where I go to Duke Cancer Center, they did offer me a counselor, and I took advantage of it. So I want to tell my sister warriors, it's okay not to be okay. We just can't stay there. We have to use the resources that we have. So take advantage of that on your jobs or whatever, because we all need someone to talk to get through what we're going through. And I have taken advantage of that because we do know that, going along with life with daily stressors is not good for our health. So we have to keep in mind on the jobs we on, we have to make decisions whether can I stay here? Do I have to leave? I've been here for so many years, but now it could be stressors on a job that you have to make a decision of, do I leave or do I stay? And if I leave, do I have to find somewhere else who have medical benefits because I have to continue my journey? We have so many different scenarios in life that we have to take in consideration along this journey. And that's another hard part. So if you don't, I just want to say mental health matters. Make sure you get a counselor, someone to talk to help you get through.
Not only that, but also just getting involved in a support group, whether it be at your church or you find one online. And that's what I did. I'm a member of my cancer support ministry at church. That was the actual first support group that I got into, and it wasn't until after post treatment that I got involved in some other organizations that I've become, I've really gotten involved with, and I'm advocating, and it's like, wow, I wish that they were around when I was going through. And the organizations that I'm a part of, their target audiences are women of color, because we don't get a lot of that representation that we need. It's like, when you see, when you hear the word breast cancer, when you see a lot of the commercials about the Susan G. Coleman's American Cancer Society, who do you mainly see? It's our counterparts. You hardly ever see us, which thankfully, they're starting to see the value in our stories too, because we get it just like they get it. And so, representation matters, but thank God for therapists.
Amen.
Amen and amen.
Amen. Amen.
And unfortunately, Black people get more.
You can't do this by yourself. Please, if you don't take anything from this, take this. Don't go through this alone.
That's right.
You don't have to go through this alone. There are so many organizations, there's so many support groups out there that are willing to be behind you and rally you and fight with you and just support you in any way. So and take advantage of going and taking care of your mental health, because it is, especially nowadays with the pandemic and all that, because it's like I'm about to lose it. And I teach kindergarten. So
hey, look, let's talk about as well, going through this journey. If you're in relationships, it messes with relationships. That's one of the main things that the oncologists talk to me about when I started at the cancer center. Are you married? Or are you in a relationship? Well, I want to prepare you, because sometimes the spouses, they can't take it. They leave, they cheat, whatever the situation may be. So then you have to deal with that stressor as well. So a lot of women, which we don't talk about that part, but that's one of the main things they talk to you about when I first started my treatments, is you have to be prepared that I'm not for sure what your relationship is like, but it could end during this process. And guess what? They were right. It ended during this process. But it was okay, but that's a part of it. That's something else that women, most women have to deal with as they go through this journey as well. And we
I
don't talk
want
about that too.
I want to talk about that. That's a great topic because I'll
Mhm.
share just personally for me because I had delayed reconstruction, right? So I had a bilateral mastectomy. And of course, my husband, ride or die, right? Um, but because I had a 1 month delayed reconstruction, I had nothing, right? I couldn't even look at myself for a couple of weeks, right? It took me, but because he was my caregiver, right? He was changing my bandages. He was doing my drains. He was doing all of that. And I vividly remember him looking at me in the most horrific state. And he had this look in his eye like, you are the most beautiful person I've ever met. And I sat there like, you are absolutely crazy. Right? Because I'm thinking to myself, head's a mess, everything's a mess, body's a mess, and I think that journey I know for certain brought us closer together. And like you said, you don't know which way this is going. Because for me, my brain went, what is how's he gonna
Mhm.
look at me, right?
Right.
Because men are visual people. Women, they want to see the whole hourglass thing going on. That's what they want. That's what they marry, right? And when the hour ain't a glass and it's just a gallon, what you doing, right?
Right.
The hour that went to the gallon, and then on top of that, you take those intimate parts away.
Yeah.
And he never said anything. He never said anything. But I could tell in his eyes, like, I'm here for you.
Mhm.
It was definitely life changing to see that coming from a man.
It's also, during this time, during your journey is when who's your ride or die,
Exactly,
who's gonna be there for you and who is not.
exactly.
And I thank God for the ones that stuck by me and that stayed with me through the good times and the bad. And I even thank God for the ones that left because it let me know I could do it with
Amen.
you.
Amen.
I know my brother Karl's jumping in here, but I'm gonna
Oh,
say this and then I'm gonna be done. I agree
Well,
with you.
listen, I'm not cutting off. This is
I know.
hey,
I was gonna say to Angela, my husband was the same way. The nurse wanted to take my bandages off in the hospital after I had the bilateral mastectomy, and I had expanders put in, so I did have a little lump. They weren't the same, hard as a brick, but they were lump.
Mm-hmm.
She was adamant. She was like, "Well, no, you're gonna go home and you're gonna see, and it could be devastating." And I said, "That's why I want to do that at home."
Yep.
So I went home anyway. So he goes to take my band, and we're in the shower. I'm in the shower, and he's out. And then of course when you see that for the first time, you just So I
Yep.
start crying, and all he did was reach over, he kissed me, and he just kept washing me up. And he's like, "It's
Yep.
okay." Like, so that was a moment because I didn't know I'm like,
right.
and keep it
Yeah,
back to what
I
you're
know
saying
what
about
you mean.
support system. There were people who I just knew. I was like, they're gonna be there for me. They're gonna check in on me. I know it. I'm still waiting on the phone call. But then there's
You and
people,
me both.
you know what I mean? And I'm still gonna be waiting. But there are other people who I didn't even, you know, really think they thought of anything about me, sending me beautiful cards and gifts and flowers. And I'm just like, God, these people are just so amazing. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, thank you. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to show my appreciation. It wasn't to I wasn't posting anything on Facebook to brag that people are, but I wanted people to see that there are great people in this world who
Yes.
can care for you, even when you don't think you can care for yourself, or when
Yes.
those people that's supposed to be in that inner circle, or, they're supposed to be caring for you, and they don't even show up.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I learned it a hard way,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I learned a
you
lot.
learn a whole lot. Yes,
Yeah.
you learn a whole lot when you're going
Yeah.
through that journey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You
Put
do.
your life in a different perspective, especially,
Mhm.
after the fact, because now for me, I try not to I'm a work in progress. God is still working on me. I try not to worry. I've always I've always been a worrywart. But now I try not to sweat the small stuff.
Mm.
And when things happen, when situations occur, my aunt, my aunt is my go-to. She's my best friend. Aunt Viv always say, what did God heal you from?
Mm.
And I say, cancer. She said, all right then. If you beat cancer, you can do this. And recently she always asks me, what's your last name? Bouler. And our family, we have a motto. We're a military family. So my grandfather, may his soul rest in peace, all he drove was Fords, and he was military. So my aunt said, what's your last name? And I said, Bouler. And she said, well, what are bowlers? We're Ford tough and Army strong. So she said, act like it. And that's that.
And I think as far as cancer for me, I think it made me more bold and courageous. I am you can call me an advocate in my county where I live at. So I am bold and courageous. If something's off and not right, or I'm fighting for it to be right. And I'm like, okay, cancer must have did this to me. It made me recognize my bold and courageous spirit. But then I used to see it was something that I'd seen on social media. I'm gonna read it to you. And I said, okay, that also reminds me of it. It says, cancer can enrich love, refocus hope, strengthen faith, deepen prayer, command peace, bolster confidence. I do that too. Increase endurance, multiply friendships, sister warriors, enhance memories. It can open doors. It can realign priorities. It can grow courage. It can create empathy. It can tenderize compassion. It can develop character. Cancer can be a blessing in disguise. Cancer can be the preliminary to bearing much eternal fruit. Cancer can be a display case for God's glory. So when people tell me that I'm a survivor, they say it's power in what you speak. I tell them I'm not a survivor. I'm an overcomer. Because when you're surviving it, it can come back. When you're an overcomer, you're praying that God take it from the roots and it never return. So when a lot of people speak to me and tell me I'm a survivor, I said, no, sweetheart, I'm an overcomer.
I need to write that down. I like that. I got to write that down.
Yes.
I do have to jump in there for 1 second because I did promise some of you an hour. And as you see, we're going on, and I'm not cutting this.
No, my daughter already looked like you done?
Is that I know. I'm just I'm overjoyed, and our viewing audience is continuously engaged in the comment section. Just thankful for your candor, your openness. There's no way I could have come up with questions to hold the conversation from you that has been had thus far, and that will continue as we move to close this segment out. I just ask that you all know that you can jump into the comment section to continue the conversation, as we move forward, because this is something that is not going to be captured in one sitting, in one take, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever, because there's is ever evolving and growing in terms of the dialogue that we need to have, must have, and relationships that we have to build around this this topic. And I'm calling it a topic because, to your points, as I've learned, that is something that we could address, overcome, and keep growing from. And so I want to give each of you, without even taking the commercial, I want to give each of you some time to have some closing remarks, and then we will definitely follow up because there's much more that we can do. Some of you have some events coming up that we want to highlight. This is definitely a platform for you. Send us that information. We'll continue to push it forward, whether it's in Virginia or Harrisburg or Laurel, Maryland, or wherever it is. If it's something that we can do, to Dr. Ndukwu's point, next Saturday, to be online and participate via Zoom, we are here for you to help promote. Sorry we missed out on SHEros Angela Wiley today, scaling down 21 stories off the Fulton Bank building in downtown Harrisburg. So in honor of Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and Members First, But there's just a plethora of things that I believe we can do. And as we oftentimes talk about here at the Multimedia Studios, we're here to tell our side of the story from our perspective and delve down into helping our community as a whole in totality, while clearly understanding that yet there's yet more to be done. And the way to get it done and the heavy lifting lifted is in a unified manner with all not perfect hands, but at least clean hands coming to the table, pushing in the same direction. So on that, let me just open the floor for closing remarks. And I ask that you just highlight if you have something coming up, highlight that during this piece. We'll continue to promote and push it as well.
Okay, well, I'll start. Well, again, Karl, thank you so very much for having me on. This was an important conversation. This was a wonderful conversation. I'm excited because I have some new overcomer sisters now that I can call my my friends, and hope to get in keep in touch with after the show. But I just want to say, again, for those that are out there listening, definitely be an advocate for yourself. This is, something that, if you see any changes in your body, please, don't hesitate. Go get it checked out. One thing for me, how I would say how breast cancer has definitely opened the door of opportunities for myself. I have a video blog / podcast called Tesha's Tea Room, the place where conversations conquer cancer. It is on Instagram Live, and you can follow me on Instagram at Tesha's Tea Room, all one word, TESHASTEAROOM. Thank you so very much for having me on tonight. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation.
All right, Dr. Achampong.
I just want to say thank you so much, Karl. I didn't intend to cry tonight, but I needed that, obviously. And also thank you. I don't want to say that the doctor's name incorrectly, so I don't want to say it incorrectly, but thank you for the information. But also, to these wonderful, dynamic, and powerful sisters of mine on this Zoom today. I just thank you for your stories and for being open, for pouring into me tonight, because you really did. And as Tesha said, everyone just be an advocate for yourself. Make sure you check your bodies. Make sure you ask questions, but also know that you're not alone. So if you're ever curious or you just want someone to talk to, you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. Some people do that. A lot of people actually do it often. They reach out to me in a messenger, and we go back and forth, and I try to just encourage them to go get things checked out, or if they just need a hug, we'll figure out how we can get a hug. But just know that we're always here for you. You're never alone. Someone's always going to be here for you to advocate and walk with you through your journey. So thank you again.
Ms. Angela.
Thank you, Karl, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, all of you beautiful warrior women. You guys are amazing. And I want to share a poem that I read that I saw a few weeks ago that I actually wrote down. I read it and I was like, oh, I'm writing that down. And I think it speaks to all of us and all of the women out there who are still fighting. It's called Grit. It says she is unshakable, not because she doesn't know pain or failure, but because she always pushes through, because she always shows up and never gives up, because she believes anything is possible, no matter the odds. And perhaps what makes her beautiful has less to do with what lies on the surface and more to do with what lies within. She isn't just beautiful because of her appearance. No, she's beautiful because of the way she chooses to live and love, in the way that she embraces all of life's experiences, both good and bad, in her willingness to bend but never break, and in her courage to believe that the darkness can't hold her as long as she continues to create her own light. She is just like a pearl made from grit, but full of grace. So I thank you all for allowing me to be here, and blessings to all of you. And I'm not on Facebook, but I am on Instagram. I'm Hopeful Mimi. So thank you all.
All right. Last but definitely not least, Miss Monica.
All right, I had to follow behind that. Let me put my tears back in my eyes. But again, first I want to thank Karl for giving us the opportunity to share our testimonies and our stories. I'm not from Harrisburg, I'm from Virginia, but I did live in Harrisburg for about 13 years, and I have a whole lot of family in Harrisburg. I'm pretty sure everyone knows the Easters and maybe some Heights, but I lived up there for 13 years, and my son's family, the Harveys, are from up there in the Boosallases. So I just want to thank Harrisburg for always just still support me, even though I'm not there anymore. Um, and I just want to applaud my beautiful sister warriors, all of the overcomers that's on this call. I look forward to continuing to communicate with you because there's no bond like sister warriors or what we've been through. I want to also piggyback off of everyone and to remind our ladies to pay attention to your body. I know we ladies, we like to be superwoman, but we have to make sure we take care of ourselves in order for us to take care of others. Also, I just started my breast cancer foundation. I started that this month. My birthday was in October, and I knew it was something that I wanted to do. The name of my breast cancer foundation is called Game Changer Warriors. I'm having my first breast cancer walk. So if you see balloons and everything behind me, I'm having my first breast cancer walk here in Virginia on October the 30th. It's going to be from 10 to 12. It's the birthing process, and I look forward to it growing more and more each year. My mission is to inspire, insist, and advocate for others that are going through. I want to not only give back to the patients that are going through, but to the caretakers because they are important in this process, to the spouses, and also to the children. Whether it's to help them out with a gas card to go back and forth from treatments, for a meal, possibly pay a bill, maybe buy gifts for the children during a holiday or birthday when the patient, when you're not working, you may not have the funds, maybe to help pay for a prescription, whatever whatever that I can do, that's what I'm going to try to do. So again, thank you, Karl. Thank you, ladies. Thank you to the doctor who came on to talk with us as well. And I want to thank everyone who joined us. And again, thank you.
All right, thank you. And Dr. Ndukwu, please.
So thank you for allowing me to join this amazing group of women and hear their stories and be a part of this conversation. And it's an extremely important conversation that shouldn't stop today. Like Karl said, it should continue, and you should continue to have these conversations with your doctor. I can't stress the importance of cancer screening and treatment and knowing your body and talking with your doctors and following up with these appointments. So yes, the Penn State Cancer Institute, along with partnership with the College of Medicine's Office for Diversity, Equity, and Belonging, is hosting the 12th Annual Cancer Education Summit next Saturday, November 6th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It is Zoom. Anyone is welcome to join. There are pretty strict rules about Penn State employees advertising on social, on posting things on social accounts. So I don't think I can technically myself post a link to the registration, but hopefully we can share that to everyone.
It's already been done.
Perfect.
As you speak, it's scrolling across.
All right, perfect. I just don't want to. I want to get in trouble with my job.
You didn't. No, you didn't do it. I decided to do it once I got the information. So
perfect. Well, this is again. Thank you for having me. Important conversation, honestly, and I can't thank these women enough. These brave women for sharing their stories. It's not easy to get up in here and open yourself like that.
Definitely, and I think I echo those sentiments. I do want to highlight Tina Nixon. Her comment. She's over at UPMC here in Harrisburg, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, and it highlights the fact that we as women of color need to have annual mammograms. If you can't afford it, there are vouchers available. So we need to always talk about pooling resources together to make sure individuals in need are aware. And as we started this podcast off, we talked about marrying decision makers and or those with connections to them to resources that benefit the community. Here's a resource, mammograms, important, vouchers, availability. So we'll nail it down there. We just like to continue to ask those of you, our viewing audience, to go to YouTube, like, share, subscribe. We need to make sure that we are getting our message out there. We're asking those visitors on here that are more so YouTube users to please go on, like, share, subscribe to Seat at the Table as we continue to push our message forward, bring subject matter experts like yourselves to the forefront so that we can have realistic conversations. It would be robbery if I didn't mention, my shirt and why it's near and dear to me. Our eldest um, um, grandchild, cousin, Ursula Singleton, she did succumb. However, she is still Singleton strong, and she has us continuing to fight on through this through service and fighting through these breast cancer challenges, encouraging others. So things I'll leave the viewing audience with today that I've captured, of course, is the tea room at TESHATROOM. Of course, Game Changer Warrior with Monica. And of course, this coming November 6th. Definitely, it is via Zoom. Dr. Ife Ndukwu did not publicize that. A Seat at the Table publicized it. So we definitely want to get everybody involved via Zoom. And we'll just end again. Please, we can't ask you enough to like, share, subscribe so that we can get our numbers where they need to be on the YouTube channel and continue to have this dialogue in spaces where we're oftentimes overlooked and forgotten. So in ending, we'll just say praise, prayed up, press on, faith, family, friends, be bold, be courageous, know that we are all overcomers in this as we move forward. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Seat at the Table.